Welcome back to another episode of Straight Facts. It's Friday. I'm joined by Jessica Black. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm still upset I don't have an intro. Every time I see it, I'm just so angry. So
Don't worry, we're on the way to doing that. We've got a few things in the pipeline. Viewers, how are you on this beautiful Friday ahead of another Premier League weekend? We've got lots of rumours. We've got lots of transfers to talk about, and we're going to kind of preview a lot of the top 6 games for you today as well. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. If we hit, I'm going to be really generous today because we're struggling to hit these likes at the minute, my people. And I give away, how many other YouTube channels give you things for free for hitting likes? None. Only me. 1,000 likes, 20 memberships. Get that button smashed right about now. And look, there's loads to delve into, and there's no better place. You know what we're going to talk about? It's in the title. We're talking Fofana. We're talking Arsenal going after Diaby. We're talking maybe a hijack move with Pino, going on. We're going to be delving into some of the games. Will Erik make the big decision and drop Fred? Loads of it. We've got loads to go into. There's no better place to be than right here on Straight Facts on TFT. But the first thing I wanted to, news-wise, that's out there today, Rabiot reportedly going to be completed or a total agreement this evening. John Myrtle is in, and I want to make sure I'm reading this right. It's on my screen here somewhere. I'm looking for it. There it is. John Myrtle is in Turin for a meeting with Veronica Rabiot, the mother of Adrian, to finalize this deal, with Erik ten Hag looking at this as a genuine bona fide deal, which he sees as a first-team player. There's been a few days to sort of get your head around Man United kind of looking at this deal as an example. What is your take on it now, a few days later, that United are looking to sign Rabiot?
I mean, originally I do think it was like more based on like what was going on in the game. You guys were getting notifications about Rabiot and Anatovic all at the same time, and you're losing. So it's kind of like all of that mixed together. I do think there was a lack of like, actual thinking about it. What did these players bring? Blah blah blah. Anatovic was a definite no, but Rabiot is definitely better than what you have. The only issue with Rabiot is that he has a little bit of a, I don't know what you want to call it, just a little bit of a, icky around him, because people have spoken about his mom and all this kind of stuff and his overall attitude, but he is better than what you have in your midfield. Now, I guess my question would be, is it just good enough for Rabiot to be better than what you have? Or is there still a little bit of, okay, well, we need better than Scott McTominay, but that's kind of like a low bar. Weren't you looking for more than that? And is he a right fit for the project as it was described to you by United?
It doesn't feel that way, and I've been scratching my head all week. This is a player that we all know who he is. Let's not pretend people don't know who Rabiot is, but he is one of those players that fits into that box of being disappointing from what we expected him to become compared to what he actually is. He's a disappointment, and I don't think anybody can get. I don't think we can get away from that and pretend like that isn't the case. He has been a bona fide disappointment so far in his career. He hasn't reached the levels we expected. Is he better than Scott McTominay? Yes. Is he better than Fred? Probably. He's probably more consistent than Fred. Fred does have his days where he's very, very good, but it's the consistency that he lacks. So he is going to improve us. And look, I'm in two minds about it, because look, I'm in a really weird situation with this, because there is this part of me that wants to be angry about it the whole time. But then there's also this realization of, Terry, you are a Man United fan. And this deal is going to happen. It's basically now just the salaries that are being discussed. The clubs are going to agree to it. He will come to Man United. This is going to happen. So you have to look at it from the point of view of, this is just where we are right now. The realization that I've had in the past 24 hours, I'm not happy about where we are. I'm not excited about the player. But this is where Man United are. We are not able to pull off the kind of signings that Chelsea, that Tottenham, that of course Liverpool and City are able to do. Not because Man United hasn't got draw, not that we don't have a great history, but as things stand right now in the world of football, we're just not that attractive. And people, in a year's time, if the football's better, we get back in the Champions League, that goes away almost instantly. But in this short period of time where Ten Hag hasn't won a game yet, we have no idea about how the style of football is going to look. I sometimes look at midfield options, and maybe the Rabiots of this world are about as good as we can do without paying vastly over the odds for people that are also not worth it. They're talking 70 million for Ruben Neves, and is he worth 70 million pounds? Absolutely not. He's not a 70 million pound player even in 2022. So you think 70 million pound for Rabiot?
What about the wages?
Well, the wages are going to be around about 6 million a year, which is what he's earning right now. So you can't take someone away from a club like Juve and go, right, we're going to pay half that amount to be at Man United. You're going to have to pay those wages. But at 17 million, compared to some of the players that we're being quoted having to spend 60, 70 million on that are not that much better than Rabiot, or not better than Rabiot at all, it is good value for the level of the player. But I think Man United fans have got to wake up and understand we are in this position. Am I happy that we're buying this player? No. Am I convinced that Erik ten Hag really wants him? That's also right now, it's not a hard no. It's a bit of a semi. Well, I've got a bit of a semi for it.
If you take off your Man United hat and, like, let's say that this was another club, would you not just say, okay, that's probably just PR spin? We talk about this all the time. When journalists come out and say, oh, that he was always on the list. I have a hard time believing that he was always on the list. I don't find him to be anything similar to De Jong whatsoever, unless he's going to play in a completely different position. So is it fair for United fans maybe to not drink the Kool-Aid, but also look at maybe the positives of having Rabiot in the team? 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Is that a better way to be than, I have seen some United fans all in on Rabiot and trying to make it seem like this was always a part of the plan and it's fine and all that kind of stuff. Where do you kind of sit with that in terms of how do you find the balance in this situation?
I think you find the balance by just being honest.
Yeah.
And firstly, I don't think he is an either or what happens with the De Jong situation is key. If we get De Jong and Rabiot's also there, then he wasn't a replacement for De Jong. If we don't land De Jong, which is seemingly likely now, and we buy somebody else, then Rabiot's an addition. Mm-hmm. So I think that would temper the fear that this is a 100% panic buy in terms of the De Jong situation, which a lot of us thought a few days ago. But it is a case of who else have we looked at? I'm not 100% trusting in the narrative at all. That's why I've said it's like a semi no, because I want to believe that this is someone that Ten Hag wants. I want to believe it, but my club has lied to me so much. And this is Man United fans that are buying into this. They annoy me. They annoy me so much because I think to myself, how many times do you have to be lied to before you at the very least come out and kind of say, I'm at least going to question it or remain skeptical? And that's where I'm at. I'm being skeptical with this. Let's see how he plays. If he comes into this Man United team and we see a difference, we improve, we play better football, and there develops an element of consistency from him. And I'm not talking league title winning quality. I'm not talking Champions League winning quality. I'm just saying much better than what we've had. Then you'll look back and go, oh, you know what? I was wrong to say it was PR. But the only time I'm going to stop saying, and I've had Danny Devil in the details, he's always calling me out on this stuff now. No, he'll find like an article where this was meant. And I'm like, Danny, bro, you're doing the Glazers' work for them. I get like you feel like, I know a lot of United fans feel like a lot of stuff's made up about our club, and I get that. But at the same time, they've lied to us so much. The club deserves it. The club, for me, absolutely deserves us to, at the very least, be skeptical and challenge their kind of narratives that come out. There's a super chat here that says, where is the proof that De Jong is better than Rabiot? Never wanted a player that publicly rejected us. This is our level of signing. Well, I think De Jong is better based on what I've seen. I mean, in terms of the proof, such a very well framed question, because to say a player is better than somebody else, sometimes it's very obvious. Is Messi better than Marcus Rashford? Yes. What's your proof? Ballon d'Ors, goals, trophies, etc. But when you're talking about players that haven't fulfilled their careers yet, haven't kind of got to the end of the road, it's harder to prove somebody's better. So it's a very well framed question, and I don't think anybody can barring preference and eye test. That for me is that. What I would say is that with Rabiot, I know he's been at PSG and Juve. It's not like he's been at bum clubs. There was an expectation for him to really lead and dominate a midfield for a team in Europe. Ironically, though, you could say that about De Jong. And De Jong hasn't kind of set the world alight at Barcelona. A lot of people, though, would say that was all more due to him being played out of position. But good question there. But I do agree with the second part. That's our level of signing. Cody Martin here says McTominay won't be dropped. He's too powerful.
I don't know. I saw something, it like popped up on my timeline that said that Ten Hag thinks that Rabiot is the starter and Fred starts next to him. So yeah.
I hope he's dropped.
I know that fail comps are fail comps, but I've seen some fail comps of McTominay, and I think that's what I see on a normal basis. I've never seen him be successful. I've seen Fred play decent, but I've never really seen McTominay do anything. So yeah, Rabiot walks straight into your team, Manchester United, and starts games, and I do think that he's a good player, right? You play for PSG and you play for Juventus. The types of players that play for those two teams are usually Champions League quality. So instantly that he's better than McTominay. But is he better than De Jong? It's such a hard question to ask now, especially with everything that's happened. Before the window, the first thing that come out of your mouth is probably De Jong. But now that there's been things that have happened and you're hurt, butthurt, and all that kind of stuff, now you're questioning it and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but he walks straight into your team and improves you. And that's what Manchester United fans need to focus on now. What's going to get us some wins, how we're going to move forward, remain skeptical and hold them accountable, but also remember that you have McTominay in your midfield.
We do. And look, that's Erik's big choice. It's part of our titling today. And it's a great comment from my member there, Cody, to talk about it. I'm not someone who's going to turn his back on Erik ten Hag quickly, but I will criticize. But what you'll see in this binary, polarized world that we now live in, and when I speak in binary, I'm talking with people's intellect. People are intellectually dishonest, to be honest with you, when it comes to these conversations now. If you criticize Ten Hag, if we start McFred this weekend and we lose, and you criticize Ten Hag for doing it, that's a step too far. You're called a sensationalist. It's called hyperbole. You're called out for doing it. Well, Ten Hag picks a team, and I don't think it matters whether you've been here for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. That combination doesn't work, and he needs to be the manager now to have the backbone to stop it from happening. And I'm talking stop it happening. I'm just sorting out this arm on here. Sorry, people. He has to be the person to stop this happening now. Period. Point blank. Okay, we might be playing Coventry in the League Cup at home. I don't mind them starting in that game, but I'm talking 99.9% of Premier League games, Europa League games against better teams. McFred should not be starting games in a double pivot together. He has to be dropped. Even this weekend, Jimmy Garner, Donny van der Beek, bring Christian Eriksen into a deeper position. That all has to happen this weekend. If that doesn't, and he persists with them or he goes with them again, Ten Hag will find himself losing supporters far quicker than Ollie did. One, he's not a legend of the football club, so there isn't an inherent deep-rooted love. And secondly, you're almost going to catch strays because of the anguish you had between the previous managers that also played them. The tolerance for it it's not even zero. It's not ZT zero tolerance. It's like -20 right now. No one's got any tolerance for that. So he's got to do it as far as I can see. Trent here said, Jesse's loving every minute of this. Terry, try your best to spin this. Well, I haven't really spun it. I've not tried to spin this into a positive for Man United at all. I don't really think that it is. What I am saying is that I'm skeptical of all these reports saying that this is a Ten Hag player, that Ten Hag really wants him, because they said these things when we signed Fred. And then it turned out Jose had no intention of wanting him. They said this when we signed Donny van der Beek. And then it turned out that Ollie didn't really want him, didn't really see him part of his plans. The manager will, of course, say the right things in the press conference. But the only time you really know when it is a proper manager signing is when that player comes in, and 9 times out of 10, they do well. You can see the idea of the player, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they should fit in straight away, regardless. And my theory on this is that like they kind of reverted back to the board list of signings, players that they've always liked, players that they've always kind of looked at and said, it's the end of the window. We need to get something done. And went to Rabiot, and no manager is going to really come out right now, especially at the beginning, like you said, and say, like, this is not who I want. But it's just a matter of can he work with that? But you'll see, like you said, right away, if he fits straight in, then maybe it was a Ten Hag signing. If he ends up like other signings and it's not a good fit, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit, it might be.
No, I totally agree. There's another super chat here that said McTominay has better stats than Rabiot. He does again, and I went. One of the first things I did when we were linked to is I went to the stat website, did the comparisons. It's like, wow.
Which stats?
Like the majority of them, better pass completion, better completion of long balls, more interceptions, better ground duels. Like I checked dozens of stats, and
so what is Rabiot good at? Like, what is his thing? What is he known for? What is his vibe?
This is when you read about it, again, I say I have to read more than watch, and I say that because I haven't watched 100 games of Rabiot playing. Rabiot, the only way that the statistics of Scott being better than Rabiot, but Rabiot still being a better player makes sense, is when you watch the game fully. And that's where the combination of statistics and the eye test are very much needed. Because we've done these things on the terrace in the past. Don't quote me on exactly which players we've used, where we've blocked out the names of the players and like midfielders and gone, right, there's 4 players there. One's Thiago, one's McTominay, one's Partey, one's Kante. Put the letter to which one. And people always get them wrong. And the worst one's nearly always McTominay, but he ends up being the second best when it comes to statistics. But when it comes to the pass completion, the one thing that wasn't discussed when people were putting out those statistics is Fabio tries somewhere in the region of 30 passes more forward in a game than McTominay does. So yes, his percentage of pass completions is 4 or 5% lower, but he's trying to thread more balls forward. So all that you have to look with midfielders, it isn't as simple as pass completion rate and how often they lose the ball. It's, well, in what direction are they losing the ball? Because if 80% of your passes are sideways and backwards, and you're losing the ball the same amount of time as someone that's predominantly passing forward, the person sideways and backwards has got a real problem, because you shouldn't be losing the ball as much with easy, simple passes.
I don't think people actually realize, like, when they're watching the game, that your favorite player, whoever they are, especially like the ones that, thread balls through and do a lot of chance creation, a lot of those are fails. They try a bunch of times and it doesn't get through, but the 1 or 2 times that it does and it ends in a goal, you think that that's all they've done for the day. You look at Kevin De Bruyne's stats as well. Like, he's somebody that his pass completion isn't always like as high in every single game, but because he's trying line breaking passes. And so when I look at midfielders, the last thing I want to see is 99.999% pass completion, because I know you're passing backwards and sideways. So you're not doing anything, really nothing groundbreaking. But Rabiot is a superior player to Scott McTominay. It's a low bar, but he is. It's just a matter of, is there actually a plan behind this midfield? And it'll be interesting to see if you bring in another midfielder, what happens with that. Because if your midfield is going to be like Eriksen, Fred, and Rabiot, like that's stinky. That's not good enough.
Well, it's not. It's not in the short term. It may have to do, and I think that's the one thing Man United fans have got to not be drawn out on is this is year 1 of the rebuild. And if you go back to your team in your first
Rebuilds, processes, projects.
But it is, right? Is it? Do you know what I have noticed, though, and it still gives me an element of joy as a United fan, is there is an element of rivals that are annoyed that this is the beginning of the Ten Hag era, because as much as they can laugh and they are enjoying it, the excuse of, well, he's just started building his team is real. Where some teams are at this real pressure point where your manager's been there 18 months, he's been there 3 years, he's been there 4 years, and there's nowhere else to go now. It's either be successful or it's banter season. I think what a lot of clubs that are under pressure this year to actually deliver are trying to do is
name names.
Spurs fans are doing this, Chelsea fans are doing this, and your mob at Arsenal are doing this. You will know with your squads, the hype around your clubs, the hype around your managers, and I'm talking about you all as a collective, the pressure on you all to deliver this year is higher than Man United. So what a lot of you are doing is acting like actually Man United failing this year and not making the top 4 is the biggest L possible. but it isn't, because although as a club it is 9 years going on to 10 years now of failure, for Erik ten Hag and his team that are building this, they've played one game. For your lot, there is no excuse anymore. So I do think there's an element of, so I mentioned rebuild, and you guys are like, oh, rebuild. The thing that you guys have used to defend your manager for 3 years.
Oh, well, no, here's the thing, is that throughout the entire time from the first season, rebuilds, processes, give us time, whatever, we were bantered mercilessly by every single rival. There was no, oh, well, they need time. Oh, I do this. But when you start your rebuild, you want time, so it's not going to stop people from making fun. And then also, you still have Man United fans out here saying that we're in a rebuild. This season's going to be tough, blah, 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 but are still putting themselves in second, third, fourth spots.
Who are these people?
Ahead
name
of people.
Hang on a minute. Name me. Stop a second. Name me one Man United content creator that's done that.
Steve Howson and Adam McCullough.
So what have they said?
They both said that they're going to finish top 4 and above Chelsea and Arsenal.
So second. Who said second?
I think Howson.
Stephen Howson said we're coming second.
Hey,
no.
Pull the tape. Pull the tape. Yeah.
Never.
So when I see that, I'm like, Howson, so you're not in a rebuild. You're just rolling on through. Like,
Howson listen, I refuse to believe right now that a man like Stephen Howson said they're coming second. I'm sorry.
One of them said second.
Someone said, this is what's mad here. This is viewers for you. No, he didn't.
He did. He did.
Yeah,
he did.
Either side.
But I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. Like, be humble then. Be humble.
Okay, but I am being humble in this, right? Just on me, I am. But I am loving this. But of course, this is what happens, though. When someone else's club's in a rebuild, you get bantered, and then everybody banters it back. But I think a lot of Arsenal fans, especially, wish we were a year or so further down the line, because they kind of, the problem is with Arsenal fans, it's also fresh in their minds. Like, these are the guys, it takes time, you've got to build your team, don't judge a manager too soon. And like, oh, I really want to try and cook Ten Hag, but I know all my tweets and all my videos are going to be dragged, because I've already got a lot of people's tweets and videos ready if they start talking smack about Ten Hag, and they're going to look really dumb about talking time process.
Nobody cares,
of course.
But it's not your team. Do you want to know? It doesn't matter.
Do you know why people care?
The rules change.
No, do you know how scared people are of being clipped up? Like, people literally come on my show and go, Terry, I'm going to say something, give you some opinions, but can you please not clip it up and put it on the internet? I'm like, bruv, you just live streamed to 45,000 people. What do you mean not clip it up and put it out there? But look, it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to go to some more of your comments that are coming through here. David here says, we are paying Juve again for a player who performed less than McTominay in Serie A, which is meant to be a slower league. It's not looking good, bruv. He also followed up by saying, also, I hope Rabiot and his mum aren't in an Alabama type situation, the way she's involved in all his business at his age. What I'm going to say is this. I know everyone's laughing at his mum, and I've laughed at his mum, but she is his agent. And, like, it's just that she's his agent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I've seen people be like, oh, my gosh, his mom is doing this and controlling his career. Well, that's his agent. So, like, that's who's supposed to be controlling his career or whatever. So it is what it is. I would just say that, like, it would be alarming to me as a Man United fan to see how happy Juventus fans are for him to go. It's just all out there that they've wanted him to go for so long. But, players can be reinvigorated in a different environment with a different, atmosphere and stuff like that. So we'll just have to wait and see. I'm really excited to see what Rabiot is like. I think he's someone that is either going to be one or the other. He's either going to light it up or he's going to be stinky.
And look, I'm on the positive side, just to play both sides here. Everybody laughed at Spurs for signing Bentancur and Kulusevski. They couldn't do it in Serie A. Juve rejects, and they look sensational. So if he's a Ten Hag player, then he's going to do well in Ten Hag's system, because I have belief in Ten Hag and what he's trying to do and what he's trying to achieve. But we will see. Let's do some more of these comments here before we move on to some of the other clubs. He just had a vibe with 5 show with Rio this week, and neither of them said top 4, is what Josh said there. Have you seen their actual videos or clips?
I saw a screenshot of their videos.
Okay.
From their channels.
Okay. Let me finish. Go and do the research. I wouldn't be surprised if people have screenshot things from previous seasons.
Okay.
I'm putting that out there as a suggestion. Maybe, just maybe, people have gone and seen Howson last year saying we're going to come second, and then they're like, "Have you seen timestamps and dates?" I'm just saying that could be what they've done here. That wouldn't be surprising to me. Well said, Terry. You deserve another super chat. Their clubs are under pressure, not us. I hear you, sir. 110%. I want to say a big. By the way, can you hit that button for me, please? Yes. I don't know. Maybe you guys can hear it. It's fine. You guys might hear it. Maybe we can't. I don't know why. Anyway, thank you for becoming a member. Boomer Guna, I really appreciate that, my friend. Thank you. 0 Degree says, as a Man United fan, my opinion that De Jong deal is like chasing a girl that doesn't want you, she will cheat, is what's being said there. Real men don't get cheated on, is all I'm going to say. No, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's a joke. Some real men do. Make sure you're smashing like and share buttons, people. If we hit 1,000 likes, we're going to give away 20 free memberships for you. So make sure you are getting that done. On this weekend's game, though, do you see Man United bouncing back and picking up points this weekend, or are they going to lose?
This is Brentford. I think it's going to be tough. Like, I do think it's going to be tough. Bouncing back, like, you know, I think Brentford are going to feel decent. You know, Brighton went to Old Trafford and took all 3 points. So I don't think Brentford are going to be like worried or anything like that. I do think that, you know, Man United need to show a little bit more than what they had, you know, a lot more than what they had against Brighton. There just wasn't any sort of like fight or spirit or anything like that. No, you know, cohesiveness or anything. And I would expect to see Ten Hag maybe make some changes. You know, it's been out there, you know, in them streets that he wasn't particularly happy with Fred or McTominay, so maybe he'll make some changes there, maybe take one out or whatever. You know, but Brentford are like a big physical, like, you know, kind of settled team with their manager. And so, yeah.
Can you do me a favor, though? Can you do me a favor? Can you say McTominay again?
McTominay.
Say it again.
McTominay.
Say again. No, say again.
McTominay.
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 Say again.
McTominay.
Say it really fast 3 times.
McTominay.
Sorry, it's just making me laugh. McTominay.
McTominay.
Yeah, I say it again 3 times.
I've said that.
McTominay. Scotty McTominay.
I don't even want to say this man's name.
I want to talk a little bit of Chelsea. I want to speak a little bit of Chelsea. World record bid is going to be made for Wesley Fofana. That's going to happen, they say.
Mm-hmm.
They're being written off this weekend. There's a lot of people talking about Chelsea not being great. But equally, there are people now, Darren Bent being one, that have basically said if they get Fofana, De Jong, Aubameyang, they're challenging for this league title. Like a week into the Prem, they still haven't signed off any of those 3 deals. How are you looking at Chelsea right now, especially ahead of this big game, the first top 6 clash of the season?
Say that 3 times fast.
Top 6 clash.
Barely at it.
Better than you saying McMayonnaise or whatever it was you were saying.
McTominay. Okay, so yeah, like I think first of all, I'm just happy that like Arsenal are not involved in any top 6 clashes like right at the beginning of the season. Like I don't need that for my heart. But I think this is a huge game just because I mean it's obviously you want to set the marker, you want to set your intention, you want to show what you got. And it's interesting because Chelsea have looked a little bit shaky. Like, I didn't think that they looked great against Everton. And no Chelsea fan could tell me that they felt like that was good because it wasn't. It was a typical Chelsea performance where, you know, they were pretty solid at the back. Everton had some chances and they had one chance, like one, you know, penalty. And then that was like pretty much all that they had going on. So from a Chelsea perspective, they don't look like the finished article just yet. And then you have Spurs that played at home against Southampton, a team that I 100% think is probably going to go down. They are absolutely ridiculously bad every season. And so you have a team that kind of has like that solidity and they're down for their manager and all that kind of stuff. Then you have Chelsea that doesn't really have everything all together. Now, it's interesting because Chelsea have Spurs' number. They really do. Like, they have Spurs' number. Like, it's something about when those two teams get together, Spurs just can't get anything. And I saw Thomas Tuchel. I thought he was throwing shade. I really did. Like in his press conference, saying we know what energy we had to put out there to beat them like 4 times last season and not to concede a goal and all this kind of stuff. So I do think it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a dog fight. Both teams are going to be playing as high as they can and all that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't write Chelsea off yet. I think at the moment with the squad that they have, they're definitely fighting for top 4 with the rest of us. But with a couple of additional signings, I think they'd be all right. Now, when you look at their front, that front kind of group, I saw like a Chelsea account put like, which front 3 do you want to see against Spurs? And it was like Pulisic, Mount, and Sterling. Sterling, Mount, and Broya, Sterling, and Havertz. And I was like, if they don't get a forward, it doesn't matter. Like, I just feel like if they don't get a forward, it doesn't matter. Now, if it's Aubameyang, does that change things up? Absolutely, because he's a world-class like level finisher. He had issues at Arsenal. We won't go over those again, whatever. But I still think that like in a good system with a team that's creating chances, Aubameyang is just fine. But you can't expect him to link up and all that kind of stuff. So the back line, getting Cucurella and Fofana, that's all great and wonderful. But they've got to get the midfielder, and more importantly, they need to get another goal scorer in there, because I look at them 3 options and I was like, is there another option other than that? So they're really good defensively, solid. Yeah. They know the system, but they're lacking that additional goal scorer to really kill games off. But in terms of like, who do I think is going to go away with the 3 points this weekend? I feel like even though Chelsea have Spurs' number, they may not get it this time because Spurs are just too strong. What do you think? Does that kind of go against what you've been saying this whole time?
No, I mean, I haven't really given an opinion on this week's game. I've kind of, on the top 6 show and the 12th man that are out, I kind of let the guests speak. I just hosted, really. I'll come on to the signings in a minute and the season with Chelsea and what I think is going to go on there. But in terms of this weekend, Chelsea are ready. All the top 6 are always ready for Spurs. Always ready for Spurs. Spurs' record, generally speaking, against the top 6 isn't great. Even last year, when they were in the ascendancy with Antonio Conte, they played Man United and got battered. Man United didn't play well against anybody and batter anybody until we played Spurs. Now Spurs still scored 2 goals against us. That's because
the Sakako?
No. The second half of the season when Ralph was there. Okay. Not El Sakiko. Like we battered them in that game. They had Nuno. I'm talking like when they had Antonio Conte.
Okay.
And their fans will say, "Oh, but we scored
3-0. Got it."
No. The thing I want to say it was 3-2.
No, it was 3-0.
No,
was it 3-2?
El Sakiko was 3-0.
Oh, it was 3-2.
It was 3-1, 3-2.
Ronaldo hat trick.
Yes.
Okay.
They scored a couple of goals, but everybody was cutting through us at that point of the season. Norwich were like creating abundance of chance.
Arsenal were cutting through you.
Well, we could have beaten you in that game, to be fair. But everybody beat us up, right? And Spurs were one of the only teams that couldn't actually beat us, right? And I just look at it like, when I look at this now, Chelsea are ready. Chelsea are ready to go. They always are against Tottenham, especially at Stamford Bridge. I'm not saying it's going to be comfortable. I'm not saying it's going to be a landslide. I'm not saying Spurs are going to get battered, bruv. But Chelsea are clear of Tottenham. And they will remain clear of Tottenham this season overall. We'll get onto that in a minute. But in terms of this game, it's going to be 2-1 win to Chelsea. I believe that they'll have enough. Raheem Sterling's going to get his first goal in a Chelsea shirt. Spurs might even take the lead in this game. But Chelsea at Stamford Bridge do not lose to Tottenham. And that is not starting this week. That isn't changing this weekend. Spurs, as every day progresses, more and more of a hype job this season. They are getting hyped up so much. And by the way, if Man United sign 2 or 3 quality players between now and the end of the window and Ten Hag can get his feet under the table, I wouldn't be surprised if we caught them up. They'll finish ahead of us, but they won't be a million miles in front of us if we land our signings. Spurs are being overhyped like you have never seen before. They're not on the same level as a City or a Liverpool. Their fans are talking about challenging for the title. They haven't been on the same level as a Chelsea for 20 plus years. Yes, they're finished in front of Arsenal for 6 years running, and they want a parade for that. But in their best period in their club's history since Bill Nicholson, Man United have had their worst and have got 3 more trophies than them. This is a club that is built upon failure. And people keep saying to me, oh, you got an agenda, Terry, against Tottenham. I don't have an agenda. I'm just speaking in reality. They are not as good as people are making out. Arsenal are going to be better than them this year. Chelsea are going to be better than them this year. And inside a couple of years, Man United will be back in front of them again as well. And the hype around them is crazy. The amount of people I'm seeing predicting this weekend's game, Spurs are going to batter them. Spurs are going to smash them. Spurs are going to go to Stamford Bridge and take over. What planet are these people living on? This doesn't ever happen. Why suddenly is it good? This reminds me of every time a good up-and-coming fighter fought Floyd Mayweather. Every single time a good up-and-coming fighter went up against an aging Floyd Mayweather, this is it. Mayweather's going to lose. That's how Spurs fans are treating Chelsea. They're a little bit messy at the minute, Chelsea. They're not quite where they want to be. This is our chance. We're going to go and get them. And what's going to happen? They're going to step across the white line. They're going to walk out on the pitch, and Chelsea are going to be superior in nearly every element of the pitch. They're going to pick up the 3 points, and then Tottenham are just going to be, oh, but it's okay because we made some good passes. That's going to be the end of this game. I'm telling you.
I just think you look at. The reason why I think Spurs might be in a good position is because they're playing Chelsea early, and Chelsea still haven't got all the pieces together. So this is a good opportunity. But there were also good opportunities last season where Chelsea didn't have all their players and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be close. But what I'll say, like, to Spurs fans, it's like Arsenal were not at 100% against Crystal Palace away from home. We still won that game. Chelsea were not at 100%, nowhere near it against Everton, won 1-0. You guys were at home against Southampton are getting relegated, guys. Like, they're getting relegated. You battered them, but, don't look at teams that are not even at 100%. Spurs look like that's pretty much what you're going to see this season.
Yeah, it's true. But again, listen, the thing is, people think I've got an agenda against Tottenham. I don't.
I do.
No, I've got an agenda against stupidity. And listen, Spurs fans are getting gassed because the media is gassing them up, and the media are being stupid. The media are being stupid here. They battered Southampton, but it's already come out this week. The Southampton players are basically on mutiny with their manager. They don't want him there anymore. Right? This isn't for clicks because Southampton don't generate clicks. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's been heavily reported, incredibly reported, that the players are miffed. They're like, why is the manager still here? We thought you were going to sack him in the summer. So battering the team where the squad don't believe in their manager anymore on the opening day of the season is not an acid test. Maybe I'll change my mind about Chelsea. If they go to Stamford Bridge tomorrow and they dominate on Sunday, and they dominate how everybody says they're going to do it. But I'm just sick and tired of a team that's not that hasn't achieved anything substantial in nearly 30 years because of a good preseason and some decent signings and a good PR team. Suddenly, we're challenging for the league title. Get out of here. Get out of here. It's a nonsense.
I just see a comment says, Jess, your hair looks normal today. I don't know what that means, but cool, thanks.
When did it not look normal?
I don't know.
When did it not look normal? I don't know. It looks nice.
Oh my gosh, I don't know what
It looks
that means.
all right.
Some comments are just so funny. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it does. Terry is getting Terry's anti-stupidity agenda. Yeah, that's what it is. It's stupid. Equally, it's like people that have been picking the league this year, the league standing, and they're just picking the obvious choices in every position. I'm like, that's just dumb. Because that never happens ever in the history of football. Ever.
Yeah.
You've got to. The thing is, people pick the obvious options because even if they're wrong, people go, yeah, but it was a standard thing to do. Go with your gut. And I honestly reckon if people went with their gut around what they really think is going to happen this year, you would see very different top 6, top 7, top 8 predictions. I got shit from Man United fans for saying we're going to come 7th. How dare you say that? Right now, that's where I honestly think we're going to come. I'm not just going to say 5th or a strong 6th because top Reds like it. No, like right now, we are legitimately in a mess. Maybe that's why I don't look at Chelsea as being in a mess because I think of us as being in a mess. And I look at Chelsea and I'm jealous. I look at all of you and listen, Spurs are in a good position. Spurs are going to be a good team this year. I'm not writing Spurs off in other competitions. I'm not even writing them off in the Prem. I just think you lot and Chelsea will be better than them. I don't understand why that's such a controversial opinion, really, but maybe that's just me. We've got some super chats here I want to go to. We are speaking Wesley Fofana. We're speaking Chelsea. Make sure like buttons are being smashed. Make sure you're subscribing to TFT. Make sure you get that done. Big weekend ahead of Premier League fixtures. She said McTominay. That's is that again?
McTominay.
McTominay. That's absolutely brilliant.
So what are you saying?
McTominay.
McTominay. Oh,
No.
McTominay.
So think that the noise that
McTominay.
the noise that a horse makes.
Okay, McTominay.
There you go, McTominay.
Okay, McTominay. That's what I was saying.
You guys, you've got to be very patient with Jess. You know what Americans are like. There's not that much going on upstairs. Remember these people voted for George Bush twice. I'm just saying, and Donald Trump. That's these lot. These Americans. Sorry.
But you want all the things that we have. I see American stores in your malls. Yeah. You want to be us so bad.
Yeah, but they were invented by like the Europeans and
you guys are desperate that
emigrated
for it
there
to be like us.
I don't want to be American. I like my bacon thick. I don't like them skin little rashers. I don't want none of that. I don't know grits on my plate.
Grits are delicious.
In fairness, they are quite nice. I had them when I visited the States this year. Dan here says a lot of people are writing off Chelsea just because we don't have a number 9. We haven't had a 20-plus goal scorer since Diego Costa, and we have consistently been in the top 4 and won the Champions League. Yeah, do you know what, Dan? Writing Chelsea off is stupidity. What's the word I'm looking for? Personified. It's stupidity personified.
Really good for someone without a brain. I got the word if you did it.
Oh, no. Academically, Americans very clever. Common sense, nil point.
Whatever. So, like, can I just say something on like the Chelsea thing?
Yeah.
Even though I think Chelsea, like, I still think with what they have right now, they're kind of fighting with the rest of us because we've kind of improved and they've improved a little bit, but not enough. They need those signings. Like Chelsea need that forward. Like I'm so serious. Like if you don't get the forward and you don't get the midfielder and you don't get the center back, you don't get all 3 of those, I wouldn't even be talking about chasing the title. You're fighting for top 4. So it's not about writing them off. I don't think there's much in it. I still feel like I look at these teams and some have different deficiencies, but Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea, I don't see much in it. Man United, if they can scrape something together, they might be.
Can I ask you a question? I want the viewers to answer this as well. If any of you finished behind Man United, if Arsenal finished behind Man United this year, I mean, is that in itself, even if you make top 4, is that a sackable offence for your manager?
If
you finish behind Man United in any capacity, in any context, is that a sackable offence?
No, because if we make top 4, I don't care where anybody else finishes.
Okay.
I have Spurs finishing. No, I don't. Yeah, no, I have Spurs finishing 3rd. So.
Okay.
And Arsenal finishing 4th, Chelsea 5th.
But if Man United finish in front of you, is that a sackable offence?
No, if we finish top 4, I don't care where you finish. I don't care. Like. I care about what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's the I hope we finish in front. We're not going to, but I want us to finish in front of one of our top 6 rivals just to see what the excuses are with the way you're all laughing.
I mean, you got like honestly, you guys like if and when Arsenal get into the Champions League, ain't nobody gonna be listening to none of y'all. It's gonna be blinders on. The parade is already there.
Well, listen,
it's gonna be a trophy made,
and all or nothing seems to have done the trick because I'm seeing tweet after tweet after tweet of people that and they're sort of like, I've got to do the voice.
They're sort of like, well, I didn't like Mikel Arteta, but I've been watching All or Nothing, and oh my god, I've just realized, oh my god, he's a genius.
That's what people are doing now. Literally, like he's a genius because he drew a funny picture. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, listen, I think you guys are gonna have a good year this year. I'm just enjoying watching the flip flops. And do you know what it is? I don't think they're flip flopping because of All or Nothing. I think they're like, oh, I feel something good coming, and I need to find an in to join the Arteta inners. I need to find a way. And All or Nothing is a really, really good mechanism to use to get with the in crowd. To go, right, I wasn't 100% bought in, but after watching that and I've seen these methods in action, now I've changed my mind. Oh my God, I feel like a born-again Christian. That's what people are doing. And by the way, Lee Gunner's going to do that as well. Lee Gunner, at some point in the next few months when you improve, he's going to find a way to weasel himself back in with the in crowd. Watch. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And you guys are finishing 3rd anyway, so you're going to have a good year. You're going to have a very good... Listen, if we finish in front of you and you finish 3rd, I'm buzzing. That means we're 2nd or 1st.
Oh.
Can you imagine? No. That would be a Disney
No.
movie. I want to say, by the way, to my guy Josh Waring, you're an American. I don't put you in that category, my friend. I hope you're good. Let's do some more of these comments that have come through here. I want to go through them one by one. Hakeem says, I think it's cool that his mum is his agent. To be honest, most players have family reps. It's just that that means a confrontation of having his mother do his business. Connotation, sorry, of his mother doing his business. I get it. It's the way it's kind of spun. Soccer mum. There's obviously the fight with Aubameyang and not Aubameyang, Mbappe and Pogba's mum and whatever else. But I've heard they're all friends though. I've heard like it's not like one of those media things that kind of been blown up. It's like they had a row after a game, but they're all close, they're all friends, there's no issues. But there we go. Agendas do what agendas do. Can you shout out my uncle? No, but thank you very much. You're not going to get me on that, my friend. I might be dyslexic, but I am not silly.
I was really reading it in my head. Like,
read it out.
What?
Read it out.
No, I won't. Absolutely not.
If I understand this correctly, people who say Man City are winning are dumb. People who are claiming Spurs will win on Sunday are stupid. No, Nabil, you're not hearing it correctly. You are being obtuse. What I'm stating is everybody predicting the simple, basic, predictable outcome, I think, is stupid. And what I mean by that is it's not stupid as in individuals are being stupid. It's a stupid notion for everybody to believe the same thing because it's what the most likely outcome is. Because sport and football tell us that isn't the case. There has to be people out there that don't believe it, but they're saying it to toe the party line. They don't want to be clipped. They don't want to have their tweets like jumped on if they get it wrong. And it's like you're all just saying the same thing because it's easy. And that as a process is stupid. That is what I'm saying. And I know that 99.9% of you got that. Nabil likes to be a little bit obtuse in that way. But no, I'm not saying individuals are stupid for thinking City are going to win the league. But for everybody to believe it and no one to have an argument outside of it, that's a stupid notion. That means people are lying. 100% lying. That is what I said. And that is what I mean. Alienator here says, Annihilator, sorry, says McTominay.
That's what I've been saying.
Say it.
McTominay.
Jess says the N before the M when she says ABCs.
Wait, what? No.
McTominay.
McTominay.
Yeah. Say it all in one go.
McTominay. Okay. So I think I was saying McTominay. I had the yeah. Okay. McTominay. Got
it. McTominay.
McTominay.
There we go. You got it now. You got it.
No, I was just. I was just saying
it reminds me of.
Do you
remember in Friends when Phoebe's teaching Joey how to speak
French? I never watched that stupid show.
Oh my God, it's the greatest.
Of course, because it's an American show.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
And Joey was so dumb in it. But she was teaching him to speak French and she'd say, "Je," and he goes, "Je." She go, "m'appelle, je m'appelle." And he was doing it for a play. Claude was the name. So she goes, "Je m'appelle, Claude." And then she said, "Now say it all in one go." And he go, "He would make up a stupid noise. It was great. It's funny. And that's what you're like saying, McTominay.
That's what I was saying.
No, you weren't.
McTominay.
No.
Yep.
Did you relocate to England or are you still in the US, Jess?
I am in the UK.
On holiday, I believe.
Yeah.
There we go. McDouble with fries. You haven't watched Friends. Yeah, I know. It's sacrilegious, isn't it? Sacrilegious.
It just is a no for me.
Crazy.
There's a show called Living Single that's way better than Friends.
Was it one?
Living Single.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. No one in England's heard of it. Can't be that good.
I don't care what you guys heard of.
We invented comedy.
No, you didn't.
I know.
You guys suck at comedy.
We suck at comedy.
When I watch you guys, like, your office is not funny like our office. And it's exactly the same, but it's just the way you guys deliver it is not as funny or something. Like, it's not.
Listen, we're not gonna get. Again, the thing with British humor is you have to be very intelligent to understand it.
Steve Carell is like, he's clear.
You do realize that Steve Carell is only funny in The Office because Ricky Gervais makes him funny.
No, it's the way he says it is so much more funny. That's what
I'm sorry, we're not even getting into this because it's actually triggering me.
every time I look at it, I'm like, this is not funny.
No. You guys rule in stand up, but your sitcoms and things like that, generally they can't touch the classic British. Modern day sitcoms are rubbish, but like you guys don't have the in-betweeners. You guys can't.
All you guys have is like dirty jokes.
No. You guys,
not even clever.
You guys can't touch in-betweeners. You can't touch The Office. You can't touch Only Fools and Horses. You can't touch Gavin and Stacey. You can't touch any of them shows. Like you guys don't have anything on par with that. You just don't.
You've never seen Martin.
What is that?
Martin is clear. Oh my gosh. Okay. You need to watch Martin. Like you have to watch Martin. Martin Lawrence. You know who he is.
I know who Martin Lawrence is, but I didn't know he had a show called Martin.
Yeah, he had a show called Martin, and it's classic. Like it's so funny.
It's clearly not.
It is. I don't know. I've never heard of EastEnders before.
But that's not comedy.
In-Betweeners or any of those things.
You've definitely heard of the In-Betweeners.
I never heard of
because America tried to recreate it and it bombed.
No, I've never heard of it.
Okay, cool. But I'm just saying. Anyway, we are going to move
I
on.
don't care about that guy with the bowl cut.
Who?
Is that the guy with this hair?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes,
No idea.
What do the characters look like?
In what?
In-Betweeners.
None of them have a bowl cut.
Yes, they.
Oh no, you mean you're talking? He's got like an Oasis kind of like.
Yes.
That's not a bowl cut.
Well,
I don't know what it's called.
An awful hairstyle.
Most men don't know the names of haircuts. To be fair, it'd be weird if you did. In my opinion, not me and my friends. Anyway, I don't know what haircuts are called. Anyway, we digress. Sorry. It's not Steve Carell. It's Rainey Wilson is the OG. You know, I haven't watched the US Office yet, but maybe one day I will. I had some super chats to look at here, and for some reason I haven't starred them. Maybe I unstarred them by mistake. Terry wants us to banter Man United is sackable. I don't understand.
Terry wants us not to banter Man United. That is sackable.
Who said that?
I mean, that's basically what it is. It's like, well, we have a project process, you know, new whatever now, and because it's early, you can't banter us. It's coming no matter what. Because people bantered us from minute one.
But that isn't what I said, though, is it?
Yes, you said it's. There's no point in doing it because it's not that good. But it's good to us.
Yeah, but I don't. But
it feels good to us.
But it doesn't feel good to you.
Yes, it does. It feels so good.
I know you well enough, Jess, to know when you're lying. And for me, what I can see when you guys say it is it's basically a way of you turning a mirror around so that you are hiding behind the mirror and you're shining at other people so you can hide the pressure that you're all under. And that's fine. 100%.
Watching the Lisandro Martinez memes last weekend was.
And that's fine. And people
with a glass of wine and some cheese, looking at my phone.
Of course, exactly. It's to take away from the pressure that your clubs are all under. But it is. It's a deflection tactic. And
no,
and it's fair. It's fair. No. Listen, it's fair. Let me finish. It's fair, and I get why you're doing it. I remember doing it when my club used to be under pressure every season to win things and deliver. You pick on smaller targets, easier prey, low hanging fruit to make yourself feel better. Basically, it's like me, the bully at school that's really quite scared of going home to his dad. So what he does, he picks on like the little kids. That's what it is. It's a deflection tactic. But bless yous, like it is what it is.
See, the issue with Man United fans now is that they don't have anybody to live in that misery with them anymore. That's why they're trying to poke holes in everything. And they're seeing Arsenal fans run away and be happy with their Mikel Arteta and the documentary and all of that. And you guys are by yourself in a pit of despair because every single rival is laughing at you. And you can't get them to stop by saying, we're only 8 weeks into our process.
but you missed. No one's asking you to stop. What I'm saying, I'm not talking to rivals when I say what I say. I'm speaking to Man United fans who get triggered by the banter. It's why are you falling for it? Because it's when I say it's weak, maybe you and Arsenal fans and Spurs fans enjoy it, but to me, it doesn't do anything to me other than go, oh bless. What triggers me is Man United fans getting rattled by it. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like it's the beginning of a process. Relax, just take our time. It's not the issue. So you doing it is fine. I know why you guys are doing it. It's a deflection tactic. I'm annoyed at Man United fans. I'm annoyed at Man United fans that are 8 weeks into a new process and they're behaving like we should be where Arsenal are right now. They're the ones who I'm like, wow, that's
What
weird.
they're upset about is that they were in the middle of getting their ass beat by Brighton, and then all of a sudden they saw that they were getting Arnautovic and Rabiot. Like, that's what they're mad about.
No, see, listen, like again, but United fans have been doing this all summer. 8 weeks ago, they were acting like, well, why aren't we ready to do what Arsenal were doing? We've just started a rebuild now. The same rebuild you guys were asking for under Ollie. It's just started. You can't be where a team that's nearly 4 years into it is at. Like that's my point. Like honestly, rivals bantering me. It's skin off. It's water for ducks back. I've had it my whole life. Man United fans falling for it. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, I wish this was like The Office where they just put the camera on one person to get their reaction. Because I wish you guys could have just had my reaction alone just to that one statement.
But you got that's because the reason you're doing that face is because you've got no answer to what I'm saying.
No, I have plenty of answers, but I don't want to fight today. It's Friday.
But it's not about fighting. It's not about fighting. It's about me telling you exactly so you don't believe it. So let me ask you a question. Let me just interject.
See, we're on the edge here. You see where the edge is? This is like 10 seconds away from no more smiles and
do you know what? Let me ask a question then without you interjecting once. Can you keep your mouth shut while I do it? That's the big question, right? The question is this. Do you not believe what I'm annoyed about? I won't respond. I just want your answer. I'll leave it or whatever you say.
What do you mean?
So I just stated my annoyance isn't rivals bantering me. My annoyance is Man United fans falling for it.
Oh, I think you're bothered by both.
Cool. Viewers, no, I said I'm not going to respond to it. Like, if that's what you believe, that's what you believe. Let's do some of these super chats here. We need to change your name to Mook. I can't even say it the way she said it because it's so wrong. Victoname, yeah. What, you've never seen Friends? Absolutely. Arsenal's transfer window is overrated. The team is not on Spurs and Chelsea's level. Also, manager-wise, they have a fraud in charge. Arsenal 7th place. I mean, you guys aren't even falling for that kind of banter anymore, are you?
No, not really.
Why?
Because I've just seen this all before. Every single time we play against one of your teams, none of our players get into any of the combined 11s. You don't rate any of our players. You can't see anything from a neutral perspective. It's when you look at your club through the rivals' eyes, you can see, because I look at your guys' clubs the exact same way. I have a balanced view, and then I have my agenda, field view of everything. So if you think you guys are light years ahead of us, then you guys shouldn't lose to us ever. We shouldn't score a goal against you. None of your, if we're so bad, you better be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points ahead of us this season. And I want to shake on it. I want us to put money on it because we all know that there's not much in it. Because it's not just about, I rate this player over that player. It's about, do they fit into the system? Do they all believe in what the manager is doing? And things like that. There's different things than just, I don't rate your players. And guess what? When we're looking at our rivals' players, we tend not to rate them as highly because we are agenda filled. So for me, it's just is what it is. Like, been hearing this for years, but at this point, there's not much in it. Here to tell you that. Not much in it. Arsenal are not finishing 8, 9, 10 points behind y'all. It's going to be close.
Aguna here says, Terry, tell the truth, please. You know Arsenal are looking like different gravy. I mean, that's why I predicted you coming third, bruv. So sometimes Jess can make it sound like I'm like an Arsenal hater. I don't hate on any club.
I didn't make it like nothing.
Let me finish talking. Like, sometimes they act like I'm out here hating on rivals, and I'm like, I don't really hate on any of my rivals when it comes to predicting what's going on. I just tell you how I truly feel. Arsenal are looking great at the minute. There's no doubt about it. But equally, that's why it comes with big pressure. This season, it's finishing the top 4 and or win a trophy, or Arteta's got to go. And if he achieves that, the next season, it's challenge for the title will go. Like, that's how big Arsenal are. That's how much respect I have for Arsenal Football Club. Is that once a manager is 3 to 4 to 5 years into a build, $500 million spent, if you're not challenging for league titles, you're failing. That, by the way, that goes for every Chelsea manager, every Man United manager, every Liverpool manager, and every City manager moving forward. If those 4 clubs, I missed another club out of that.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah, and Arsenal, sorry. Those 5 clubs, when you've had a manager that's been there as long as Arteta and spent as much money as Arteta, as Klopp, as Pep, as Man United have spent in the last 9 years. It's why it's a disgrace we are where we are. The only expectation is to be winning league titles. And I think Arsenal are looking different gravy. And that's why the pressure and expectation has to be increased to match it. You can't be brilliant and have no pressures of a big team, because Arsenal are one of the biggest teams in the world.
But equally, you can't tell me that our team is dead and then tell me that we need to be finishing in the top 4, top 3, or whatever. Because that's what I always see, moving the goalposts. Either you respect our team and you think we're good enough to make it, or we're not.
I agree. It's okay. I'll leave that one there. Thank you, my friend. Black sitcoms in the 90s are holy grail. Some of them are great, actually. Like, obviously,
But you've never heard of Martin.
Never heard of Martin. But that was what you know. Want to know why? When was that out? I'm sorry to get annoyed. When was it out?
Like 90s.
Yeah, because we didn't. Do you realize that TV ain't like it is now? Netflix didn't exist. Like, we literally in England in the 90s had 5 TV channels. Seen? Fresh Prince, that was played here.
But it's the same. It's the same time.
Yeah, but they didn't listen. I can't help what the BBC put on TV. I didn't control it.
Okay, but what else?
It wasn't on demand. The internet didn't exist.
So you saw Fresh Prince and what else?
I don't know if I should mention this show. What a big one in the Cosbys was very popular here. I think that's cancelled now.
Cosby's, yeah.
Was great. What was the one with the little geezer? There's a little man. I can't remember his name. About this big.
What?
I can't remember his name. He used to say something about Mr. Wilson or something.
Oh.
Different Strokes?
Yeah.
That was on over here, but that was older. Do you know what they used to play in the 90s on TV here? Like, we were only just getting Happy Days in the 90s. Like,
I'm telling you guys right now, Terry's been deprived. He hasn't seen Martin. You know, you also haven't seen Living Single. So yeah.
Breaking Bad is better than any of them shows. Yeah, but it's not a sitcom, brother. It's a great show, and I think it's brilliant, but it's not a sitcom. Comedies we're talking here. Love you, Jess Gunnar. I grew up watching both British and American sitcoms. Living Single is one of my favorites, but British sitcoms are better. Hello, classic is what Wayne says. Jamie here says Rabiot deal done, yes, and United technical director John Myrtle left Italy today. Did you see? I know he was there today, and they reckon it's all going to be done soon. But thank you very much for the update, my friend. Chike came in with a super chat as well. It's my opinion, not banter. I swear that's fair. Then Grey Wolf tonight, top man. Igal is going to be unbearable if Arsenal finish in the top 4.
We're all going to be unbearable.
All Arsenal fans will be. Did you get my last super chat? Yes, I did, my friend. We just don't get to them all straight away because there's lots coming through. Chike here says, Terry, how many times have Arsenal been told they have been doing great? We've seen the patterns with this clown Edu. Also, score predictions for Chelsea, Tottenham, please. Also, I'm at £190 on the bench. New PR for me. I think I mean PT maybe. But yeah, listen, well done on the weight loss you've had. Score predictions, I'm going Chelsea 2, Spurs 1. And look, with Arsenal, look, they have been in positions like, I don't feel like Arsenal have been in this position since the last time Wenger had a very good team in sort of like a decade ago. So I think I don't think Edu was never at this point where they were getting this kind of hype. The last 2 or 3 years of Wenger never got to this point. This is different under Arteta and Edu to what we've seen before. Now they've got to deliver against it, but I think it's a different type of hype.
Can I say one thing? Because I know we have to move on, but me and Neeks were having this conversation, you know, in the group chat, and he was saying, well, Arteta's failed and he hasn't, you know, he's basically being lauded for finishing in the same spot that Emery got sacked from, right? And that's actually not true. And as an Arsenal fan, I can say that, like, this team has a lot more promise than that team that we had before. Those guys were terrible. Like, Aubameyang was carrying that team, Aubameyang and Leno. And so now we have a team that can get better. We're playing good football, and we don't have a bunch of losers on high wages just sucking the club dry. You know, so I get the feeling like, oh, you finished 5th. That's the same place that Emery finished. But you also forget that it was half a season in and Emery had us in 13th. That's why he got sacked. So, yeah, we're in a decent position. He does have to deliver, like you said, against it. But the idea that, like, we've been in these positions before, it's not the same. Like, it's not the same.
No, it isn't the same. And I think, to be fair to Arsenal as well, it's about you broke everything down to rebuild it. So it's not about lauding being back in the same place. It's about seeing the progression and and this is the thing. Not all Arsenal fans want to say it, but it's about what comes after this point. Not we're back here, we're happy to stay in this position. I think that's the difference. Now, speaking about Arsenal, there's a number of players that you're linked to. The first one, Jeremy Pino. According to reports, Liverpool might now be stepping in to try and hijack that deal. What is your take on him? And he's a very talented young player linked with a move to Arsenal. Is it the kind of individual you want, or do you feel like maybe Arsenal's name's just being used here a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, just in regards to the player, like he's very similar to Saka and Martinelli. Like I think he would fit in well at Arsenal in terms of what we try to do in the front line. He can play on both sides. He's a really good young player, 19 years old. He doesn't really have the statistics to really back it up. Like last season, I think he only scored like 6 goals and 4 of them were in one game, I think. But ultimately, like it's a player with a lot of promise, and you're linked to players. And I don't know if you guys do this, but I look to see who else is linked with them. And most times if Liverpool are also linked to them, there might be a pretty good player because their scouts are really good. But my ideas about this are, just from an Arsenal perspective, I was kind of looking for us to get somebody that, I don't know, maybe really moves the needle for us. He keeps the floor pretty much the same, where if Saka was out, we would have something similar there, but he doesn't really take us to the next level and lift the ceiling of this team. Like, I don't feel like with a signing like this, we're a shoo-in for top 4. Whereas if you would have signed, like just throwing it out there, I didn't think we had a chance with him, but a Sane or a Gnabry, then you're looking at really going to the next level. So it would be, or even Rafinha. So it's one of those where it's like, okay, yeah, he kind of fits what we're trying to do, but like, does he really improve us that much? Probably not. But he's better than Pepe and all those guys. So I get it. In regards to like, do I feel like our name is being used? If you just look at kind of the way our transfer window has gone, Fabio Vieira was completely out of the blue. We didn't really hear much about Jesus or Zinchenko before it was like 90% done. Like we basically just had to like put in the bid. It went in and then, whatever. So this feels a little bit different, where Villarreal and people close to their club have been saying for a week or so that Arsenal are about to put in a bid. Arsenal are very interested. Arsenal are going to do this. Arsenal are going to do that. And that makes me think that they might be trying to get somebody else to the table with the idea that he's going fast. He may go somewhere else, so you need to act. I wouldn't be surprised if that team was with Liverpool. I could easily see him being at Liverpool, like him being a new signing, because they need somebody on the right, to back up Mohamed Salah, and he would be a perfect option for that with the new look front group that they have going. So I don't think we'll get him. But if he came to Arsenal, I wouldn't be upset. But yeah, looks like we might be getting used.
Yeah, I mean, you linked to him, and then there's also the other lad of Musa Diaby, the very talented winger from Leverkusen, whose name's kind of been mentioned today, £55 million plus. And it's seeming, again, I think, I'm not saying Arsenal fans are creating this agenda, because that would be wrong, but Arsenal fans have kind of been pushing this notion now for weeks of this secret this mystery winger, which I don't really know. Again, a content creator must have said that, and everybody else goes, oh, I'm going to jump on that bandwagon. It's not really a mystery. Very rarely are players mysteries. Every now and then club bring, sort of pull a player out the blue, but again, you linked him. I don't know enough about him to know whether or not he's good enough for Arsenal, or good enough to improve you, good enough to move the needle far enough, but you certainly need more. And the question I wanted to kind of ask you is, I remember we had this conversation maybe 8 weeks ago now. You called your interest on Tielemans because you were going to come back and get him later after you signed a winger, after you signed a defender. You've got a defender. Now there's talk that you may sign a winger, but then you're not going to get another midfield player. In terms of your season and achieving what you need to achieve, is that right or wrong in your opinion by Arsenal?
I mean, you always want your club to go after every single player and try to fill as many holes as they possibly can, So ideally, I'd prefer us to go for a midfielder and a winger. And, I think we need both. I think a lot of Arsenal fans, I've done multiple polls on this, and most would say that we need a midfielder more than an attacker. Now, I think a lot of that is swayed by the idea that like more people hate Granit Xhaka than their agenda is more against Granit Xhaka and wanting to get him out of the team than looking at our attackers and also taking note of the fact that there's not enough goals there. And for me, it's like, regardless, we're going to be short somewhere. We're either not going to have enough goals, or we're going to be an injury away from having a very average midfield. And that's without seeing Vieira play with us.
Yeah.
But still, on paper, I'm not really feeling it. So, yeah, it's not really what I want to hear. But it wouldn't be a transfer window at Arsenal without like something going missing. But what really just kind of irritates me more than anything is that Arsenal have not addressed midfield for two summers in a row. We bought Thomas Partey two summers ago with Gabriel, and then we went last summer, spent a lot of money, didn't. And when I say midfield, I mean addressing the positions where Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka play now. Those positions, not the number 10. We have tons of number 10s, but we haven't addressed those positions. And I just feel like when a team is serious about attacking their midfield, they go out and they do it, and you can do it in a way that's not overly expensive. So it's not about the money spent. I personally think that Arsenal are comfortable with what they have, especially when it comes to the two that are already there, and Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey. You think about, they brought somebody that could play in Odegaard's position, but not the other two. And so you still have Sambi, you still have Elneny. I feel like we're going to go into like halfway through the season and have those same questions that we had last season about, is this midfield good enough? When it's playing at its best, it's top 4. When you take somebody out or somebody has a bad game, it's not good enough. So for me, not to get the midfielder would be criminal. I've talked myself into the Tielemans thing. I do think that he can improve us and he would challenge for those positions. But ultimately, I do think Arsenal will put the winger first. And the wingers that we're looking at, although are young and good and exciting, I don't think that they're going to bring us up as much as they probably, as much as you would want as well. So, yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. I feel like whatever we get next is going to be a little bit of a, okay. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I kind of look at it along the lines of, if you guys don't address both, I'd be disappointed. And maybe I'm looking at this through the lens of a Man United fan, and it's almost Richard Arnold came out this summer and said, whatever it costs to get De Jong, we'll go and get him. Yeah. That doesn't mean you're going to land him, because he could pick Chelsea, but the money's there. So maybe you don't buy another midfielder in that position because you're going to wait for another big target, but go and sign take that money and go and sign your number 1 right back target. Go and sign another top class player somewhere else, spend that money. I think what would disappoint me as an Arsenal fan would be, hang on, but you told us you've cooled the interest to sign the winger and the defender, and you were going to come back to it later. Now you're spinning us the yarn of, I saw a little story the other week. I remember we spoke about it when I spoke about Tielemans. I'm like, oh, maybe they're worried about his fitness levels. The manager doesn't quite think he can fit in. And I'm like, is that just a way of saying, actually, we were never going to spend as much money as we kind of alluded to, but that's a way of us getting ourselves out of it? Because I still don't think Arsenal are in a position where they can afford to scrimp. Now, maybe they won't sign Tielemans, and then next summer they buy a better midfielder, and you go to that next level then, and everything
like
else.
That's what it is, though. Like, I feel like we keep kicking the can down the road, because it's like, but ultimately we feel comfortable with what we have. But for me, when I look at Moussa Diaby and like Yeremy Pino, those two players, I don't think 100% start in front of either Martinelli or Bukayo Saka. And if you're not going to add 10 goals to this team, because if you're sitting on the bench, you're not adding 10 goals to this team, then I want a midfielder that's going to start in front of Granit Xhaka, because that's going to immediately improve us. So that's why I was like, okay, well, if we go after Rafinha, he starts in either the left spot or the right spot, and you automatically look different. Like, even if you had Partey, Xhaka, and Odegaard, if you have Rafinha, Jesus, and Martinelli, or Saka, Rafinha, and Jesus, you could vibe with that. You're thinking like, okay, that attack is doing something for me. But if you put Pino in there and he doesn't start in front of Saka, and you have that same midfield, what you're basically telling me is that we got Gabriel Jesus and that's our improvement. Because Zinchenko is going to improve us, but you know what I mean.
But this is the thing, right? So Arsenal need to do one of two things. You either need to buy better first team players, like you were looking to do with Rafinha, and you push the current first teamers down and make them fight to get back up, or you bring in something like a Pino that makes sense. It's similar profile to players you've already got, but it gives you that strength in depth. Europa League football means there's going to have to be more rotation than the year before. Diaby is a little different. If you spend £55 million on someone, that's someone that has to be able to improve your first team straight away. But I just kind of look at it and think to myself, there are multiple midfielders. Paqueta, there's Mateus Nunes, there is Yuri Tillemans that we know. They're now saying he's available for £25 million. Now, there is another theory, and just look at all sides, that has suggested that Arsenal are just trying to drive the price down as low as possible. They will come back in. This is all kind of gamesmanship. And that's a fair point because we know that's how public negotiations happen. But I just sort of look at it along the lines. I always said, I stand by what I said in January. Getting rid of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang wasn't a problem. It wasn't replacing him. Now, would it have been possible to have signed Gabriel Jesus in January? Probably not. Maybe, though, if you'd have offered, again, it's about money.
We could have signed Kulusevski. Like, he was offered to us.
But exactly. You throw Kulusevski, and I'm going to throw Gabriel Jesus' name in there because I still think in football, if you offer the right amount of money, you can get things done. Because City could have just bought Alvarez in then rather than 6 months. Like, Alvarez getting 6 extra months in Argentina or whatever country it was, or Uruguay, sorry. Like, that's not going to, his development wasn't like night and day different. Like, you could have done those things then. Yes, he might have cost you £10 million more in January than in the summer, but that £10 million would have probably got you into the Champions League. Yeah. Therefore, financially, you would have been in a better situation. And Liverpool did it last year. If they'd have signed Diaz at the beginning of the season, I think they'd have had that extra bit of firepower. Would Diaz all season have garnished 3 more points for Liverpool? For me, the answer is yes. 3 more points for Liverpool makes them title winners. Yeah. So it's almost this case of if you just miss out this year, Chelsea come 4th, Spurs come 3rd. Let's go with like almost your prediction, but you miss out by 1 point. But actually, it's because, Partey picked up an injury and Xhaka missed a couple of games through suspension and you didn't have it and you lost those games. Remember, this year, you can't get games called off for having a cold. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just look at it and, again, people think I'm digging Arsenal out. I'm not. I'm looking at this as a neutral football person. I'm saying you need that midfielder and that winger for me to completely fulfill what you could achieve this year. I feel like if you miss out and don't get one of those positions, you may still make it, but you leave yourself vulnerable should there be a problem. And whether it's injury, suspension, or bad form, like, there's no doubt about it. Like, any of these things can happen. Like, if Saka goes for a period, like he did at the end of last season, where he just isn't scoring, creating, or having that, like, you don't want to, I don't like this notion of playing people through bad form. I think top quality clubs bring better quality players off the bench and backfill. This notion of, we'll just keep playing him until he comes good again. Top clubs don't do that. Like, they bring new people in, really and truly. Ironically, Liverpool don't have that when it comes to their attacking line, which is why City have won more league titles than them in the last 5 years, because they have that, and that's what Arsenal have got to aim for. Arsenal's bench, when you go back to your greatest ever teams in our lifetime, your benches could win league titles. And I think that's what Arsenal have got to aim for. And I know your fans are happy. I know everybody is giddy, but I still think you should still be demanding the players instead of going, I'm really happy, so I'm just going to kind of take it, because you can't get caught out like that.
What I'll say, I don't think, like, from the Arsenal fans that I've been speaking to, they're not satisfied with what we've done so far, and everybody's a little bit anxious about seeing what's next. Arteta said in his press conference today that they're still looking to bring players in, so it's just a matter of, like, is it going to be 1 or 2? And if I have to choose one, it just feels like I shouldn't have to choose one. But we need goals. But the players that we're looking at, I'm just like, are they going to actually bring that to us? Like, are they actually going to have those vibes? And, like, I'm not sure I'm seeing that. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. But, we'll see. We'll definitely see. But I will be disappointed if we don't get both.
Yeah, listen, and I always applaud you for this, because you don't toe the party line. You're not always annoyed at things. You're not always happy with things. You speak things honestly. And there's a comment that came through a minute ago. It did make me smile a bit. I want to put it up on the screen. And it said, Terry, you seem to worry a lot about Arsenal, even more than we fans. I'm not worried about Arsenal. Like, I don't actually have a worry for them. But if people want me to give genuine opinions around what I think is going to happen, I need to be honest with their scenarios and situations. I'm not going to I might be predicting Arsenal coming 3rd, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to say things that I think need to be said. And I think that the one element when you become a little, I even said with Liverpool fans, Liverpool are happy with FSG to a degree. But when I see people like Sam call them out, I think he's right. Now, maybe he goes a little bit extreme in certain areas, but FSG are letting down Klopp and Liverpool this summer. they need to go and buy. They need to go and buy more players. I still think they can win the league, by the way. They add 1 or 2 more bits of quality, and I think it gives them an even better chance. The fact they're not doing it, it's like, I don't like this notion of, oh, we nearly did it. But look what we did. We didn't spend as much as everybody else. We nearly did it. I'm of the mindset of, we'll spend a little bit more and win it. I remember having this row with my dad years ago when Spurs they just lost the Champions League final. No, it was the year before the Champions League final. They were doing well. And I said, Dad, I asked my dad this question. What would you rather your club do this summer? Spend £200 million on 3-star players to make you win the league, or spend like 50 million but promote some youngsters? And he said 50 million and promote some youngsters. Even there's less pressure that way. And I'm like, oh, I'd think about that from an elite sporting mentality. I'm like, no, that's wrong. Like, I don't care. I've always said net spend is one of the worst things people celebrate in the world. Oh, my net spend's good. Well, that basically means you're failures.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy to me.
Well, that's why it annoyed me when we were linked to Rafinha. I was like, we need to be looking at a player like this. And people were worried about Bukayo Saka. Why? It puts him under pressure. You want him under pressure. And it's amazing to me how they want certain players under pressure for their position, like Granit or whoever. But they don't want Saka under pressure. They don't want Martinelli under pressure. And I do think it's a level of comfort, and then when your players are young and they're playing, then you don't have to, you can always go back to their young, their inexperience and stuff like that. I don't want that. I want a front line that is supposed to score.
Yeah. A lot of football fans have fallen into this weird kind of Disney underdog story mentality in recent years where they want to, I want to make sure I say this in the right way, where they want all the accolades of playing good football and having potential and being great, but they want none of the pressure that comes with having to deliver against it. And the era I grew up in, my sort of childhood, my teens, Man United and Arsenal were the best 2 teams generally in that time. Chelsea came along, and the pressure on us. I remember a guy was decorating our house when we were kids, and he was a West Ham fan. And I think my big brother sort of said to him, you West Ham, you rubbish like that. And I just laughed. He went, who do you support? And he said, ignore it. And he went, all right. He went, who do you support? I said, Man United. He went, do you know the beauty of being a West Ham fan? I said, what's that? He went, if we lose 5 games at five games on the bounce, it's annoying for us, but no one cares. He went, if Man United draw a game, it's scrutiny and pressure. And he went, I quite like the fact that my club doesn't have that. And I was young, and I was like, I didn't really think much of it at the time, but I always remembered it. And that's why when I see football fans now having low standards for their football clubs, it frustrates the living daylights out of me. Like, the reason you are big Arsenal, the reason that Abramovich spent all that money on Chelsea was to get them to a point where a draw against anybody at any time should feel like disappointment. And I know people will say, well, Terry, you call out Lee for wanting his club to win the league. It's like, well, that isn't the point. My only difference between me and Lee is this: I agree with Lee's standards for Arsenal, but the way we disagree is I think there has to be it takes a period of time to get there. There's like a step change, and I think you can celebrate the achievements along the way.
Yeah,
it's like me saying to you, when you hit 20,000 subs on YouTube, you better not celebrate. You haven't hit 250,000 yet. And then Don Robbie saying to me, yeah, but until you hit 1 million, Terry, I don't want to see you celebrating. Like, how far? What do you have to achieve before you can actually celebrate? Do you get what I mean? Like, there has to be a limit, and I don't think just winning a league means you can't be happy. But at the same time, I think football fans have to maintain the level of scrutiny they have upon their clubs. It was only 18 months ago, or a bit less, that the huge Cronky out protest happened outside Arsenal. They haven't fixed your club yet. It's a feel-good factor. You're in a great space. You're moving in the right direction. But until you're there, you've started winning, and then you sustain the quality, then you're fixed. And that might be 5 years' time. Until that point, like, I'm not saying protest. I'm not saying get the banners out. But I'm just seeing a few too many Arsenal fans kind of, oh, well, we don't get it. It's okay. Just rolling over and have their bellies tickled a little bit. And I'm just glad to see you not doing it. It's really good to see that passion. Let's do a few more of these super chats here. We have one that says, I would like Man United to get, I don't know who that is meant to, Gakpo, I think you mean, Gakpo and Frankie De Jong, and one more player that would be good. Listen, if we sign Gakpo and Frankie De Jong, I'll be very, very happy with that. Very, very happy. Gakpo is brilliant. I know that because all the Arsenal fans say he was brilliant all summer. Terry, we all should put respect on Man United. Ten Hag will do well. Man United will finish second this season. We cannot judge a team on last year's confusion. I can bet with anyone. My bro, we're not finishing second this year. I'll bet you £100. I'm just putting it out there. Terry, would you like to see
All or nothing United.
Oh, all or nothing. That's what it means. I thought A on the sponsors. I would like to see an all or nothing on United, but
I want to see it when nothing is complete yet.
yeah, I mean, for me, I then all or nothing's been done. I'd like United to do something different. You know me, I don't like the whole sheep thing. I'd almost like us to do a Netflix type thing, like very similar to Sunderland's, but like I wouldn't want one season. I'd quite like Man United to do it. Now, I actually think when all or nothing's in there, generally speaking, I think it makes it. Listen, Spurs have improved things since theirs went out. City won the league when theirs went out. Arsenal, I think it makes you improve. It's almost like shit. We're going to be exposed now. United will never do it until they're ready to change because their failings will be recorded and recorded by an outside party. Like,
well, you have to be in a position where like you feel like, okay, when the cameras are here, we can operate without having to like shove things in the closet. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, get in there, you know, trying to move things around. And so, yeah, I wouldn't expect to see Man United do one until they feel like they're in a good position. But I think it's better to see teams when they're going through ups and downs. Like the City one was great, but ultimately they're so good that it was just kind of like whatever. I kind of liked watching the Spurs one because you can kind of see, you know, a little bit of the yuckies. And then like even for us, I'm sure it's better for the neutral because you're not just seeing, you know, you're seeing us get
and I think that like you obviously had the situation with like Aubameyang that they showed quite a bit of information on, but Spurs had disappointed me because we didn't see any of the sacking of Poch. It just basically started with there was like a little bit of a kind of big intro, and then it was Jose arriving. I'm like, as soon as that happened, I stopped watching. I was like, no, I wanted to see what happened. And for me, the one thing I'd say about these all or nothings is I don't know how much they're cutting out and leaving in, and are they becoming a PR exercise for clubs just to make themselves look better than they are, or good when they're not. Like I'd like it to be kind of warts and all, but then I suppose that isn't the point of it. The point of it is for these football clubs to push their brands through these huge streaming networks and be seen by more people.
There's like an agreement, like we're willing to show just enough. Like, you know, they didn't ask Aubameyang anything about his perspective. Obviously, you know, Arsenal don't want his perspective out there, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I mean.
They didn't talk about the COVID cases either. You know, that was another thing. So, you know, it's a little bit zhuzhed up, but at the same time, I do think you still get some insight.
Yeah, you definitely get some. I think for me, and listen, Arsenal fans are enjoying it. I'm reading the reviews. People are really happy. I just think for me, it's one of those things where I'm like, it would probably leave me going, yeah, but I think on a United point of view, not with Arsenal, I don't really care. Like, as in what I do and don't get to hear. With Man United, I'll probably be like, well, those big three things happened last year. You haven't even mentioned them. This show's shit because I want to see that side of it. But it all depends on the outcome, really. It depends how you feel about your club at that time. If you Gooners were still angry, I don't think you'd be enjoying this because you'd be like, well, where's all the stuff that we wanted to know the answers to? Because you guys are at a point where you're quite happy. It's like, I don't really care about not knowing, you know?
I think people are shocked, though, about the way Arsenal fans are reacting because rivals view our season as just all failure. So they're kind of surprised that, like, Arsenal fans are excited. But at the same time, there's a loud minority out there that are really, really, like, upset about things. But I think for the most part, people recognize that we're a 2-point gap away from people looking at that as Arteta's taken us in the right direction. It was 2 points.
But that's why, like, you don't just throw baby out with the bathwater. It's why I've predicted further progression again this year. And I feel like your jump could be equally as big as last year. If you have 2 seasons running where your jump is equally as big, that's why I'm predicting good things. But listen, viewers, we really appreciate you all tuning in and having your say. To our super chatters and our members, thank you. Please hit the like button before. Oh, wow. Like a big donation there right at the end. I'm so glad we didn't miss that there. Thank you very much, my friend here. Says Terry, my man, Diaby doesn't make sense. He would come to play second fiddle to Saka, who's stronger on the right wing, who would come in as cover for Pepe, would surely be in for a winger who's more of a Gakpo's elk, as his numbers outdo Martinelli's and could cover. Also, PS hit me on Twitter inbox. I will do, my friend, and I really appreciate the big donation at the end of the show there. It means a great deal to us. Some good points being raised in that as well. Everybody that's tuning in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless, and make sure you watch the British sitcoms. Thank you.